And one of the things that you're touching on that's so important is how much of our wounding around our sensual, sexual self is what cut us off from our body. That being a young woman with lots of energy and sensuality and sexuality, oh no, that's not okay. You're not allowed to feel that. And then we're told, don't feel your body. And so then to actually feel the sensations, our needs, feels a little like, whoa, am I allowed to do that? That's a lot of energy. And so part of this work is growing our capacity to feel our power, to feel our energy, to feel our vitality. And so much of this work also is letting ourselves become comfortable with all those feelings that are a little bit uncomfortable. Right? I hear so often, I work with women who say, I'm an emotional eater. I eat whenever I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling anything. Right? And again, that's that, there's so much sensation. There's so much happening inside of me because I'm feeling feelings. I can't tolerate this. I'm going to turn the volume down. And I know how to turn that volume down on that feeling. This box of cookies will do it. It's a very effective tool. It's a coping strategy, right? There's no shame in it. We've found a coping strategy. It just then ends up making us feel bad about ourselves. So it's not that we can't use food as a way of coping, but do we have other things in our toolbox that feel better long term?
Hi, Nina. Welcome to the Awaken Heart podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Nancy. It's really a delight to be with you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to have you here. And for those of you that are not watching the video portion, you have to see this lovely lady in front of me. She's the epitome of beauty. And I'm really think it's such a great thing that she's providing all these women. We're focusing on body and loving ourselves and really having peace in our own bodies and acceptance and, our relationship around food and dieting and all those restrictions that we place upon ourselves. So how do we find peace and accept ourselves and love ourselves for who we are while still being in a, healthy, vibrant, healthy state of being as well as physically and emotionally and spiritually as well. So today's topic is so important because we have advertisements thrown at us left and right, and then Instagram has all these images and it can be a little crazy. It can feel so intimidating for us as women, especially as we age. I'm just over 50 years old, and I just started seeing changes happen probably in the last year and a half, 2 years. And it's like, what the heck is happening? My body stuff is a little looser, and, weight doesn't fall off as easily as it used to. And there's some bumps under my skin now. So, and, women over 40, it seems like, the whole society kind of forgets about them. And there's this whole thing about the pheromones change too. So the attention you get from the outside world has changed as well. And I've noticed that within myself as well, being out there. And then somebody that specializes in menopause and midlife told me, she really clarified that it was pheromones aren't being released anymore, actually. So that was a big aha for me. I got a lot of ahas from that conversation. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of ahas from this conversation as well with you, Nina.
It's a pleasure. It's just, I can't wait to dive in. And one of the things that's quite interesting about what you're saying about, do we get attention from the outside world? If you look at it from a archetypal psychology perspective, right? In our 20s, 30s, and even sometimes into our early 40s, we're in this princess stage of life. What do you think of me, right? Which jives with what you're saying about the pheromones, right? I'm putting out this energy that is looking for feedback. Do you think I'm okay? Am I doing a good job? Do I look good? And so our sense of self gets defined a lot by the outside world. versus when we move into our later 40s, 50s, 60s, we move into queen stage. Queen stage is, I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to do what I do. And my sense of self-worth and my sense of knowing my own strength comes from within. And that's what we want. We want this sense of self to be from inside versus the outside being a defining sense of our value, which happens all the time with weight, right? Our culture says, oh, you must be this weight, or you must be thinner, or you must be, doing the next, 5K, right? You need to define yourself and your worth on this external validation, these external numbers. And what we want to actually feel at home, to feel at peace in our body long term, which is what I'm most interested in. I did all the quick fixes in my, earlier life of all the like lose 7 pounds in 7 days and all the cleanses and all the rah things. Let me fix my body because I'm a problem, to what I want now, which is a sustainable, supportive relationship with our body that lasts the duration. Right? That we can change in our 50s, in our 60s, in our 70s, in our 80s, right? As my mom says, who's 92, we're lucky if we're aging.
Yeah. And it's also, it becomes an observation, because for myself, I'm happy with who I am. And I'm in that place where it's like, I don't give a F what you think about me. And I take care of myself. And I mean, you do, it's just a notice. I observe it. It's like, oh, okay, I don't get as much attention. And it's not just from men. It's from, women, or just like somebody could just like literally bump into me in a, bakery line and like not even notice that I'm there. It just is. And it's not that I feel that it's taking away my own self-worth. It's like, oh, that's interesting, but I'm okay. I'm okay. And I like who I am. And wow, like not having to need that external validation to feel our own self-worth is so, so freeing. And that's what is so beautiful about becoming our age and midlife and being in your 50s, 60s and beyond.
Yeah.
And then we have to just have a good accepting relationship of the changes that are going to happen, that are inevitable with our bodies.
But I think that there's something very powerful to talk about in this place of how women become invisible, because we're no longer in that, oh, if I'm attractive, then I have power. Although that happens, it continues to happen in the life of women, where looks and size become clout, become social currency. But at the same time, our culture is trying to erase us. And how do we take up space in the world? And do we want to? Do you want to have a more internal life where it's like, you know what, I'm happier? I've heard this from many women. I'm actually happier moving through life, being less objectified. I'm doing my own thing. Some women are like, you know what, I want to be acknowledged, and I'm going invisible, and I'm making myself invisible because I'm feeling shame. So I'm wearing clothes that hide me. I feel ashamed of my body. I don't feel good. And then they don't take up the space that they deserve and the power that they actually hold. And so we have to look at what is our relationship with our body as we age. What is our relationship with our sense of agency and power and social currency? And how do we want to feel truly at home in our bodies so we can feel our best self? And that relationship is the key, right? We're having a relationship with our body. We're not in a management model. It's not like, let me now get really aggressive with the next diet or the next this, or we're actually trying to create a long-term supportive, caring, respectful, honoring relationship with our body, where we are in service of this body that we want to last for a long time.
So some of the women that are listening to this that might have, experienced this or have body image and don't really feel at home like you're talking about, and the accepting, what are some of the first things that you would have them look at in order to begin to start accepting and accepting themselves?
Yeah. So one of the things is really looking at, where did we get this messaging? So when often what our culture says is, oh, you don't feel good in your body? Okay, great. You're a project. Let's work on this project and let's fix the problem. But that's not it at all. We've all tried those fixes, right? Like you talked about in the very beginning, Nancy, of this idea that so many messages are coming at us around how we should look and what we should do, right? That's $87 billion diet industry that's coming our way. And so we have so much marketing. So if we can unhook from that and go, wait, my body is not a project. And where did I learn that exactly? Where did I get the message? Where did it start, right? I know for me, when I was 9 years old, I was taken to Weight Watchers. Oh, you're getting a little big. And Weight Watchers had, was sort of in its beginning stages, and it was seen as like, this is a great thing. Much later, I said to my mom, I was like, what the heck were you thinking, taking me and for a diet when I was 9? She said, honestly, it was being touted as, this is the healthy way to live. This is what you need. This is how you should eat. And she said, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was relegating you to a life of dieting after that. Because all of these diets, whatever the latest, greatest, newest book that's just come out and the newest product, they're all there saying, this is how you become healthy. But I want to really flip that and go, what do you know for your body, so that already, because you've lived in your body for a decade or two, supports your body. But to go back, Nancy, to that question of, where do you start? We need to start, where did we learn this? Where did we find this information out? Right? I learned it at Weight Watchers. I learned it by watching my mom go on the newest diet. I learned about it in high school by watching all the girls go, oh, what are you eating? Oh, what are you eating? Right? We learn that our body is not okay from our culture. From a culture, even there are women I've worked with that even earlier say, I remember when I was 5 being told I was chubby, being told I was fat, being told not to eat so much, right? We learn this behavior. We learn these beliefs that our body is not okay. And then we get set up on a whole train of, you should fix your body because you are a problem. In fact, there's a colleague that I worked with, and she said, the way that I work with women is I help them treat their bodies like a project, just like they would work on a project at work. And I thought, I don't want to be managed like a project. I am not a project. I am a human being. I want to be cared for. I want to be tended to. I want to be listened to. I want to be honored. And that's what we want, because every time we come in there with the newest, like, let's do this thing, our innate inner rebel shows up and goes, I'm not doing that. Right? Or the part of us that has this very natural desire for autonomy, which is it's human nature, goes, don't tell me what to do. I'm my own person. And so every time we start in with the restriction or the new rules, or tomorrow I'll start again, we're actually setting up ourselves up for the diet cycle. That's that cycle of, oh, this is great. I'm doing great. I lost weight. I'm feeling awesome. Oh, this is really hard. I can't keep this up. This isn't working. I hate this. Oh my gosh, I cannot do this. Oh, I totally blew it. Now I'm a failure. I feel so much shame. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. Oh my gosh, there's something really wrong with me. Oh, somebody else is doing this diet. I'll do that diet. And around and around we go on that diet cycle. And we have to get off in order for us to actually claim our own body, our own home.
Yeah, it sounds like intuitive based, because somewhere down the road, early on, we made an agreement with ourselves that, like I said, we're fat. I'm at Weight Watchers. I'm chubby or whatnot, and it stuck with us. So it's identifying that, that agreement and then listen to your own intuition about what is right for yourself in your own body, and not going into this cookie cutter mode about like the next fad and diet, which is there's always something new. Like there was one that was a cabbage soup diet way
Oh,
back in the
yes.
70s that was
Oh,
so bad,
yes.
and a water diet, or what else? Grapefruit
All of them,
diet.
grapefruit diets,
Kind of.
all of them, right? All of them. And one of the things that you just said, Nancy, that's so important is you said it feels intuitive, right? So one of the things that I am is an intuitive eating coach. And people are like, yeah, but I don't like, what's my intuition? I don't, and I hear this all the time. I don't even know what to eat anymore because I've done so many diets. I'm so confused. I feel like I tried this and I can't do that. And I think that that name, intuitive eating, is a bit off the mark, because what we want is really what I consider compassionate eating, respectful eating, somatic eating, right? What's going on with our body. And it's not always intuitive to us because we've been trained out of our intuition. We are so good at not listening to our body, right? Oh, I don't need to pee. Oh, I don't need to sleep. Let me just have more coffee, some more chocolate, and I'll just hold my pee until the end of the day, right? I've worked with enough nurses that I'm like, okay, so when you go pee, can you? And she's like, I don't pee, right? So to come back into that place of intuition actually means coming back to a place of body listening, which is a skill we can relearn when we've been trained out.
And how would you guide someone into a body listening as opposed to intuition? If you're so not used to listening to your intuition, or you don't know what is real, you don't trust it anymore. You don't trust that intuition because it's led you into all these, rabbit holes of diets before. So how would you have somebody listen to their bodies and eat by listening to it?
No, it's a great question, Nancy. And one of the things that happens when we're trained out of the listening is we are in this place of, wait, I don't know. I don't know what I feel. And also what happens when I say, well, listen to your body, people go, well, but then I'll just eat bonbons all day long, because what I want is like, I don't know, Snickers bars from morning to night or whatever it is. And so there's a couple things that have to happen. One, we need to honor the parts of us that are like, wait, someone's listening. Okay, then my little kid is going to respond. I need candy. I need ice cream, right? Because she's often very loud. The little kid who's been put on a diet 5 million times, right? She's like, someone's listening. Well, let me tell you what I want, because yesterday you said I couldn't eat this, and you couldn't, the day before I couldn't eat this other thing. So I'm going to tell you I want ice cream. So part of it is we want to actually make space for the parts of us that get pushed away and that are yelling for attention, right? So we want to make space for those voices that we think, well, this is my intuition. This is what I know. It's sometimes the parts of us that are just yelling to be heard because we override them, or we say they're not okay, especially that little kid part that wants a treat, that wants attention. But there's another superpower in body listening, and that is interceptive awareness. So interceptive awareness, many of us know proprioceptive awareness. Proprioceptive awareness is that ability to walk through a door without banging into the sides, right? Being able to navigate through a restaurant and get between all the tables. That's proprioceptive awareness. Where am I? And where are things in the room, right? Interoceptive awareness is what's happening inside my body. Interceptive awareness answers the question, what do I feel right now? Often when I ask people, what do I feel right now? They're like, I don't know. Well, I think this and I think that, and I think this. So a big part of cultivating body peace, which is the work that I do, is we have to actually be in our body. And so many of us live neck up. I think this, I know this about how many points, how many calories, how many grams, but I don't know how I actually feel or what my body needs, right? Because we've learned how to cut it off. The women that I work with all know, they all know all the things. They could literally write their own books on nutrition. It's never, the problem is never lack of information. The issue is, how do I go from all the knowing into all the actual sensing and feeling and listening and trusting our body? And it's that gives us that sense of, I'm okay. When I walk into a room, I'm not comparing myself to other people. When I have a reunion in a month, I'm not doing the diet math in my head. Oh my gosh. So it's in 4 weeks, then I need to lose 2 pounds. And then if I do this many calories, right? All of that is in our head. The work, this work, and the work of aging well means coming into our body and listening to her and honoring her. And that's what we really want to invest in.
And what you're saying so much resonates with masculine and feminine energies, where a lot of us are in our masculine headspace, which we all got them intertwined in us, masculine, feminine energies, but we're so in our heads, and that's, thinking, doing, action. That's such a masculine energy. And when we can rest into our femininity, which is so natural to us as women, that's where our intuition, that's where our listening, that's where we're connected back to our body. So it's also returning to your beautiful innate femininity. And it just encompasses everything,
Yes, 100%. That masculine, feminine archetypal perspective is so important to bring into this conversation, Nancy. And it's not men and women. We all have masculine, we all have feminine, but we as women have been trained to treat our body from the masculine model, right? Baseball, how many calories, how many grams, how many points? We're tracking stats. We are not a game. We are not a bunch of statistics. We are a living, breathing, feeling, knowing organism. And that requires us stepping into that feminine, that listening, that more receptive state versus that active state of the masculine, more that receptive state of, okay, body, what do you want? And I see it often in conversations with women about movement. Women are like, I know I need to move, right? Like in all the ways that there's research around diets that they're not sustainable. They don't work, right? 98% of people who go on diets gain their weight back, if not more, in 2 to 5 years, right? We all have seen the before and after pictures of people who are like, woohoo, look at all the weight I've lost. And then we don't see those pictures in 2 or 5 years because most of those people have gained their weight back. And I've heard it countless times, right? There's a lot of research that says diets are not sustainable. On the flip side of that, there's tons of research that's telling us that movement is a good thing, right? So I'm working with women and they're like, yes, I want to get moving. So I should go to the gym. I should do a 5K. I should. I'm like, well, wait a second. Let's get into the feminine in this conversation. What gives you pleasure? What kind of movement do you love? What makes you laugh? What makes you smile? What makes you go like, oh my gosh, I want to do that again. That was so darn fun. And that's when bringing the feminine into our relationship with our body can get really juicy.
Because it's intertwined with it's play, it's fun. And that's
it's pleasure.
It's pleasure. And I did a burlesque performance series when I was in Portland, because I talked a lot about masculine, feminine energies, but I hadn't been in a relationship in so long. And I hadn't done anything really feminine with my own body. So I challenged myself. I went to this performance series and we had to dive into our own bodies, and the dances that we created came from ourselves, because the teacher's like, I can't tell you how to move your body. Only you know. And it's interesting during the practices when you're just kind of moving to music, what I hear in my head when I, because we'd always have a circle and we talk about some of the things about how we might've heard something that was told to us when we were 4 years old, or we were shamed in a certain way. And we just are hesitant to move our bodies in a certain way because it's bad or it's sinful, or it's like, you're a whore, you're a slut. whatnot, working that out of your headspace and then moving into that sensual space that you're is intuitively inherent in your gorgeously feminine body. So
Yes,
yeah.
so true.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you're touching on that's so important is how much of our wounding around our sensual, sexual self is what cut us off from our body. That
Mhm.
being a young woman with lots of energy and sensuality and sexuality, oh no, that's not okay. You're not allowed to feel that. And then we're told, don't feel your body. And so then to actually feel the sensations, our needs, feels a little like, whoa, am I allowed to do that? That's a lot of energy. And so part of this work is growing our capacity to feel our power, to feel our energy, to feel our vitality. And so much of this work also is letting ourselves become comfortable with all those feelings that are a little bit uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Right? I hear so often, I work with women who say, I'm an emotional eater. I eat whenever I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling anything. Right? And again, that's that, uh-oh, there's so much sensation, there's so much happening inside of me because I'm feeling feelings. I can't tolerate this. I'm going to turn the volume down. And I know how to turn that volume down on that feeling. This box of cookies will do it.
Mm.
It's a very effective tool. It's a coping strategy, right? There's no shame in it. We've found a coping strategy. It just then ends up making us feel bad about ourselves.
Mhm.
So it's not that we can't use food as a way of coping, but do we have other things in our toolbox
Mhm.
that feel better long term?
Mhm. Mm. Now, how, since it usually starts at a young age, and of course, influences in society, and I'm thinking about a young girl that the school kids can to stay popular, or stay in their own groups or whatnot. How can a parent encourage a young girl, their daughter,
Yeah.
to really be more at peace with her body and to
Yeah.
love,
I love that
as a
question.
parent. Yep.
Yeah. I love that question. And the first thing I would say is do your own work,
Mhm.
because our kids are watching us, our nieces, our nephews, our daughters, everybody, all those young people, they're watching what you say to yourself in the mirror. They're watching what you say to yourself at the end of Thanksgiving after you've eaten all the pie. They're watching and listening to what you say to yourself as you get dressed in the morning. They're listening to what their father, their other uncle says about a woman as she walks down the street. Do your work.
Mhm.
Heal your relationship. I am very adamant about this because it's when we get clear about our relationship and the reality that people are allowed to be whatever heck size they are without our criticism, without our judgment, and that we get to be in our body without judgment, without criticism, that food is not shameful, that being in a body of any size is not shameful. And when we embody that, our kids are like, oh, bodies come in all sizes and shapes.
Mhm.
Oh, bodies can have all sorts of sensations. Oh, all sorts of foods are available for choosing. What makes me feel good? Right? Instead of being in the black and white, there's good bodies and there's bad bodies, and there's good foods and there's bad foods. Because as soon as we hold up that duality for them, they go, oh, see, I ate that food that she said I was bad, that was bad. I must be bad.
Mm.
Oh, that body that walked down the street that she said was too fat or terrible or not healthy. Oh, I have a body that looks like that. Something's wrong with me.
Mm.
When we shame ourselves, when we shame whoever walking down the street, we are shaming our kids. Do your own healing work. Find your own way to body peace. And that will do the most for the kids in your life.
Mm. So true. Take care of your own stuff first, because your kids are going to watch and listen and
They
emulate.
are.
Mm-hmm.
Always. They always are. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we say, oh, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And they're listening. right? What are the conversations you're having with your girlfriends? What are the conversations, right? How does your mother talk to you? How do you talk to your sister? They're listening to all those conversations. When women get together and go, oh, what diet are you doing? Oh, you lost weight. You
Oh
look so
God.
good. Or they walk in the room and everybody goes, oh, you lost weight. How'd you do it? They are listening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going, oh, that's what social currency is. If I get thin,
Mm.
if I start restricting, no, 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 no. It's time for that to change.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting because it's so different here in the West. In the United States, it seems like it's so much more like in your face, and there's so much more pressure on younger kids than the rest of the world. I mean, even though a lot of the world is becoming very westernized. I mean, I was over in Asia where you used to never see heavy people, and you're starting to see it because there's McDonald's all over the place, and there's a lot of Western ideas and culture moving on over there. But you be in these other countries, it's more about family. It's like you're enjoying your food and you're eating, and you're taking your time eating. You're enjoying your wine. You're having your creamy sauces. In France, you're eating all these rich foods, but of course you're walking more. They have like siestas. They have time to enjoy themselves. They have time to enjoy their time off, and it's so much different than it is over here, I'm finding.
It is, depends on which culture for sure, but for sure some of those like Italian, French cultures, they enjoy food and they know how to relax into it, and they know how to eat slowly and be in their body and feel when they're full and have small, many little courses and really be in the pleasure of it. We are in this like go, go, go mode that adds stress, which impacts our metabolism, right? But then you have certain countries like Argentina, which has the highest rate of plastic surgery.
Yes.
Countries like Brazil, also high rates of plastic surgery, this feminine ideal of what a female body should look like. So there's lots of different cultures that we can pull apart and go, oh, this really works in terms of honoring how women are exactly as they are. And this really doesn't. And it's also important when we're looking at our cultures in general and go, well, wait, what have I adopted into my family? What have I integrated? And what do I need to unlearn?
That's really powerful. And so we had just touched on a little bit about body peace. And what is body peace and why do we need it?
So body peace is that feeling of feeling truly at home in our body. And one way to think of body peace is to look at the flip side, which is body war. And unfortunately, many of us know exactly what body war is. I was an expert at it. Body war is there's something wrong with my body. What diet am I starting tomorrow? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I ate that. Wait, the scale is up. Oh my gosh, so much shame, right? That's the war. Right? Every day looking in the mirror. Ooh, if my tummy was thinner, I just need to lose 10 pounds to get into these jeans. That's the war. Peace is, this is a good body to live in. This is a body that I live in and that I enjoy doing life. I get to feel at home. I get to feel comfortable. I get to be in a listening, respectful, responsive relationship with my body. Now, body peace is not body love, right? Body love is that like, and I tried literally, no exaggeration, 10 years in the mirror, Louise Hay, I love my body. And my body just like laughed at me, basically. It was like, you don't, you're just trying to override a neural pathway. And that's not how we do it with neural pathways. That's not actually what changes our patterns in our brain of critical thinking. And what we need to do is look at body positivity at this like, and body love, it's a bit too aspirational. It's a bit too rah. Because if we think about it, there's no relationship that is 100% totally rosy. I love you every single second. You're just the best. That's not real life. Relationships go up and down. But what makes a relationship work is communication, is connection, is deep listening. And that's what creates body peace. And body peace is a much more powerful paradigm to live in, because it's not like, oh, I'm not being rah rah and loving my body today. Well, I failed. Body pieces, some days we're like, woohoo, best buds. And some days we're like, I don't really want to hear you today. I am tired, or something's going on, but we're not fighting. We're not in war. We're in support. We're being an ally to our body. That's what peace is, right? When you think about countries who have peace, they're allies. And that's what we're trying to do versus this combative, aggressive relationship that so many women have with their body.
Would you say for people to throw out their scales? Because I don't have a scale. It's how my clothes fit that I feel comfortable. I've always had I've tried stuff. I've tried juice diets. I've tried other things, but luckily I've always been pretty much I moderate my eating. I love food. I love food. I love it. But if I eat, something really heavy or something not great for myself, then the next day I just eat light. I don't beat myself up, but then I don't overindulge in when it's the Girl Scout cookies, I could eat a sleeve in one sitting, but then, the next day I don't eat that. So, yeah.
But Nancy, see, they're right there. That's the difference between being able to have a fluid relationship with our body and food. All right, I ate a sleeve of Girl Scout cookies. Congratulations to me. Woohoo. Moving on. Versus, oh my God, I ate a sleeve of Girl Scout cookies. I'm the worst. Tomorrow I better go on a diet. I'm not even going to have breakfast, right? And then by the end of the day, I binged again. I feel terrible about myself. And now I'm on the roller coaster of dieting, right? And just to respond right back to where you started, which is the scale, it's, in my mind, a very harmful tool in our culture. And one of the things I know that you know about me is I write body peace poems, and I actually have a poem around scales, if I can share it with you.
Yeah, I would love that. I was just going to ask you to read some of your poems.
Yeah. So this one is called Please Don't Weigh Me.
Okay.
So please don't weigh me. She asked me to hop on the scale. I said, no, thank you. She said, we'd like to get a baseline for your health since you're a new patient. I said, I don't subscribe to the belief that weight determines health. There are more powerful metrics that paint a picture of my vitality. Another day, she asked me to hop on the scale. I said, no, thank you. She said, we're a surgical practice and we need your weight to determine anesthesia dosages. I said, of course, if I need to have the surgery, I'll get on the scale. But right now we're just having a conversation about the possibility of surgery, not actually prepping for it. Another day, she asked my daughter to hop on the scale. I said, no, thank you. We don't weigh ourselves. I know that your mission is to support healing, but your scale and you weighing my daughter is not healing. It's harmful. It buys into the diet culture's message that thin is better, that there's a specific number that we are aiming for. Your scale interrupts my daughter's ability to trust her body. Your measurements have her measuring her self-worth against a number. I am fighting for my ability to listen to my own body cues. I am desperately trying to defend my daughter from the impact of a culture that values a particular size over substance. I am advocating for women to have a relationship with their body that is based on internal cues, not external numbers. Given my history of dieting and scale addiction, if you weigh me now, you will be doing harm to my mental health instead of supporting my overall health. So please don't weigh me.
I love it. I love it. You never think about that going into a doctor's office. You just get on the scale and it's like, oh shit.
No, and you don't have to.
Can I take my shoes off?
Have to. Yeah, right? No,
they always
you don't
weigh
have
more.
To.
Okay, well,
and here's my tip to people who have a scale and who are like, you know what would life be like without a scale? If you're not willing to toss it out, this is my advice. You take the scale, right? If it's the kind that's like on the floor that you can pick up, you put it in a bag. You take that bag, you tie 2 knots in it. Then you take that bag with the 2 knots, knot side down, put it in another bag, tie 2 knots in it. Then you take that package of the scale, double bagged, and you put it either in your attic or your basement or your garage, somewhere you are unlikely to get undressed and take your shoes off, because we know how we do it, right? I know it from years of weighing myself. Take the shoes off, any jewelry that would weigh
Eat
anything,
good.
right? Get it
Don't
all
eat.
off. Right. So move that scale away, because if you're tempted, you will then have to go to the attic, the basement, or the garage. You will have to get it out of the bags. And in that time, you can ask yourself this very important question. What am I asking the scale to tell me? Right? What am I asking the scale to tell me? Am I asking the scale to tell me, you've been eating so healthy, good for you, pat on the head, good girl? Or am I asking the scale to say, oh, you've been bad. You've been eating too much. You should start managing your body. You should get on the next diet, right? Either message is not actually helpful to us. So really asking yourself, what am I wanting here? And what would be more supportive?
It's a bit of work to go through all those steps in order to open. And it is, right. When you're going to the scale, you're feeling bad about yourself.
Yes.
And
or you're feeling good and you want validation,
Oh,
right?
yes.
So am I looking for punishment or am I looking for validation?
Yep.
Right? If I'm looking for validation, can I give it to myself? I feel like I've been really taking care of myself. How does that feel? How does it feel? We're back to interceptive awareness. How does it feel? How do I know from the inside, not from some random scale number? And if I'm feeling like, you know what, I'm feeling like I'm looking for punishment. Oh, what am I feeling shame about? What's really going on? Right? Because often when we're feeling shame about our body or food, there's another feeling underneath.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's something that's going on inside of us that's causing us to want that external validation.
Yes.
Or punish ourselves.
Absolutely.
Instead of doing the work.
Yep.
I'd love for you to read one more of your poems, which really resonated with me, and I'm sure it'll resonate with a lot of people. It's the She Let Herself Go.
She Let Herself Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a pretty recent poem. And I've been working, more and more around women and their relationship, their body as they're aging. So this is a poem that came to me. And it's called She's Let Herself Go. He said, you've let yourself go. Yes, I have let myself go. I stopped wearing Spanx. I stopped counting macros, points, and calories. I said no to the Botox. I let the gray show. The truth is, I did let myself go. I let myself relax. I let go of expectations. I've let myself be at home in my skin. I let myself have pleasure. I let myself feel and rage. I let myself listen in. I let myself not care about what everyone else thinks. I let myself free.
That is so beautiful and so freeing. And I find a lot of women who get into their 40s and their 50s, we come to that place where we're just so loving and accepting of ourselves that we're like, you know what, I'm free. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful just the way I am. And I love and accept myself that way. I love that one. I can resonate. Yeah. And also he said, oh, you let yourself go. We've heard that.
We've all heard that
before.
Right. And Nancy, I would love, I do know women who are like, yes, I feel more at home. I love the process of aging. I feel freer in my body. But I've also worked with countless women who are like, they come to me and saying, I don't want to die hating my body. Yes. And feeling like they're still in the struggle. And to those women, I would say it doesn't have to be that way. We can make that change. We can actually change the relationship, just like any other relationship that's important to us, right? Often when I'm on a plane and someone goes, so what do you do? And if I say I'm a body peace coach, they'd be like, huh? So I say I'm a couples counselor, except for instead of working with a woman and her partner, I work with a woman and her body to create a relationship that feels good, that feels supportive.
Well, wonderful. I love everything that you're doing, everything that we've talked about here in this episode, but I would love for my audience to find out how to work with you, or what do you have? Do you have anything coming up that you're really excited about?
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of ways to connect. One is to start with a free practicing body peace journal. It's on my website, bodypeacewithnina.com, all one word, bodypeacewithnina.com. And it's 20 questions that I would ask you if you were sitting with me in a session, right? About your relationship, unpacking your relationship. And it has a few of my body poems that I didn't share with you today. So they're in that practicing body peace journal. That's a great way to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Also in fall 2023, I have my compassionate eating course coming up. So that's a very powerful beginning step of, if I'm having unwanted eating behavior or I'm struggling with my relationship with my body, how do I create a more compassionate relationship with food and eating? So those are two really powerful ways
Mm-hmm.
to really start on your own body peace path, because that's the path we want to be on. We don't want to be on the management path. It's no fun.
Mm-mm. And where's the best way for people to get a hold of you? On your website?
My website, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Google Nina Manolson. I'm Nina Manolson, NinaManolson.com or bodypeacewithnina.com.
Okay, great. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. And one last question before we go, I'd like to ask all my guests this one.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean for you to live with an awakened heart?
For me, it's about really being in what is happening right now, what's real, what's authentic, right? What's authentic between you and I right here, Nancy? What's authentic with the relationships that I'm in with the people that I care about? To me, that's being awakened, is being real, being authentic. What's really going on? Because then it feels like I expand, my heart expands, and I have more space to experience life fully, which is what I want. I want to, like, I'm here, I'm on this planet now, let's do it. And so that sense of what's authentic often lets my heart expand and lets me just dive into the juiciness of life.
Mm-hmm. And the juiciness of life is being authentic and being deeply embodied in your feminine beauty. And there was a moment also when you were talking about how in France and Italy, and they just love to eat and they take their time. I saw you snap right into your feminine, like that same pace of the enjoyment of the French and the Italians. I saw it. I was like, whoa, there she is. There's the embodiment of the French and the Italians.
I know, it's so fun.
It's so fun. Well, thank you so much, Nina, for being on today and giving all your insights and wisdom and encouragement and inspiration. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.